Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Let me make sure everything is working over here, and we should be good to go. Let me mute this. Okay, looks like that is going. Skip that. Okay, we are live. Good. Now I can do my business. So let me put this over here so I can see the comments. And put this one right here. Okay, there we go. I can see everything now. All right, that's good enough. So first of all, just let me say, good morning to you, good afternoon, or good night, because I'm not sure when you'll be watching this. But the fight week is here. I can't wait. You got Yarde. You got Benavidez. Matter of fact, let me just show y'all what we got going on here. As far as the fights, man, it is going to be something amazing. Let's see if I can pull this up here for you. Boom. This is what you got going on this week. This is what I'm going to cover this morning. You got Benavidez scrapping with Yarde. Haney against Norman. You got Abdullah Mason against Sam Noakes. Jesse Bam Rodriguez against Fernando Martinez. And I am telling you, I think power will prevail in this boxing match, and that's just how I see it. I don't think if a person not bringing power in this ring, I think they're gonna lose, and that's just how I see it. Now, if you're in a fight where both guys have power, like Benavidez and Yarde, that's a 50-50 fight. Haney and Norman, I got Norman all the way. I don't care what no one says. Norman's today's Triple G. Abdullah Mason and Noakes, I think Noakes can knock out Mason, but I got Mason winning because he's got power, but he's got speed. He's very technical. But that's a really, really good fight, a good step-up fight for Abdullah Mason, where he'll go on to become a champion, and he'll be the youngest champion in boxing right now. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, look, there's just something special about Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Fernando Martinez gets busy, but you put Bam Rodriguez in with anyone, I'm going to more than likely side with Bam Rodriguez to get the win. Now, that being said, let me close this out. Let me look at something here real quick. Okay, Kishwa, what's going on? How you doing? Let me expand that and go up. Okay, so let me play this for you because I still think it's funny as hell. And that's how we're going to start this off, man. Where is the damn thing, man? It has me cracking up whenever I hear him start talking and running his mouth. Where is it? Right here. Now listen to this. If this don't get you excited about what's about to come up between Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr., I don't know what will.
Do you think he's going to have to chase you down? I mean, we have seen you fight different ways. You've moved, you've stood in the pocket like you did against Prograis, Moore, Lomachenko. Do you think you're going to move?
He sure ain't finna sit in no pocket with me. I'll tell you that right now. Boy, you know good or well you ain't finna sit in no pocket with me. Hey,
you violate, I'm gonna have to demonstrate.
Hey, sit in that pocket with me. Sit in the pocket with me.
What if I put you down?
You can't.
I can't.
Boy, you ain't got nothing in them gloves.
Remember this day. I'm
gonna remember every last piece of every day.
After the fight,
Debo Haney gonna get hit with a brick.
I'm gonna be like,
you know what's in these gloves,
I
Sean.
told you.
You know what's in these gloves.
Do you think he's going to have to chase you down? I mean, we have seen you fight different ways. You've moved, you've stood in the pocket like you did against Prograis, Moore, Lomachenko.
When you hear Brian Norman Jr. saying that, let me turn the volume up on the microphone. When you hear Brian Norman Jr. saying that, man, to me, that just lets me know that when it comes to Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. knows what he's getting into, but he's not worried at all about what Devin Haney's bringing to the table. Says, waiting for this card. I got ghosted for my first one this morning. Thought I'd pop in. Okay, no doubt, man. So let's go ahead and just jump into the whole presentation. Now, Benavidez and Yarde is who I'm going to start with, right? Let me tell you this. Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde is built as a collision of size, athletic brutality, and high-octane power. Someone is going to die in this fight. Now, I understand with David Benavidez and the fact that, Canelo ducked that man for so long, you almost can't blame Canelo for running the other way, you know what I'm saying? But he is just one of those special fighters, this super middleweight fighter who relies on compact and punches, a violent engine, heavy two-punch output with a mean, measured jab that sets up thudding power shots. If you can't hurt Benavidez, you can't push him back, I don't see how anyone wins. Now, whereas Anthony Yarde, I understand some people saying whenever he stepped up that, he's fallen short, but at the end of the day, Anthony Yarde is the fearsome British puncher with one punch knockout, upside, and a history of brutal stoppages when his hands land clean. If Anthony Yarde lands on David Benavidez, I want to see what David Benavidez does. Now, when Benavidez fought Morrell, which was a very good fight, even David Benavidez said it was a tough fight. Morrell had speed, Morrell had power, and he had to dig deep to get that win. Anthony Yarde, in my opinion, some may agree, some may disagree, he seems to be a bit more athletic and a lot more dangerous in them early rounds. Now, going into this bout, the numbers that matter are both CompuBox based and activity metrics and each man's power percentages. Per the available fight entry analytics, Benavidez averages a high total power attempts per fight and lands a sizable percentage of his power shots. And that's going to be important because he's going to have to land on Yarde. Yarde's back is in the corner. He knows he can't afford to lose. His career is over, at least competing for a title. He knows he's probably not going to get another opportunity. He's going to have to sit back and kind of rebuild his career and try to sort things out. And that's exactly what I want to draw attention to. Yarde's career, let me tell you something, man. His profile reads like a classic power ace who lands fewer total punches but turns them into sudden outcomes. That's what David Benavidez cannot allow. He cannot allow Yarde, who's probably going to get behind on the scorecards, all of a sudden land a shot that comes and changes the sudden outcome of the fight, and next thing you know, Benavidez loses by knockout. I just think when you take a look at these analytics available, because I had to look all over the internet for them, I think in event previews it just shows that Benavidez with a larger total punch volume on average, and Yarde with a lower volume but higher percentage landing on power shots, that combination alone maps to one of boxing's oldest playbooks. Volume plus sustained power versus single shot finishing power. And that's what this fight breaks down to. And if you ask me, I just have to side with David Benavidez. You know what I mean? Like, I got to be real with you. I have to side with David Benavidez. Anthony Yarde, I think the first 4 rounds, I always say this, but I really think the first 4 rounds are going to be dangerous as hell for David Benavidez. David Benavidez likes to come straight forward. David Benavidez is not running from you. David Benavidez, man, he starts to overwhelm his opponents. And we got to be real about David Benavidez. He is a bad boy. David Benavidez is the truth. But David Benavidez is not fighting a small man. David Benavidez is not going to have any size advantage. This isn't the 168-pound division anymore. He's not fighting a Caleb Plant, who's basically a one-arm fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's not fighting him. Caleb Plant was a great win for David Benavidez. But Caleb Plant is a southpaw fighter who fights orthodox. So his jab and hook are everything. But he don't have a right hand because the right hand is weak hand. So whenever Caleb Plant gets in a fight, he's left hand dominant. And if you can take that away, he's a sitting duck. David Benavidez going to fight Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade moved up in weight, was inactive. He came in there, he tried his best, but you just saw that he couldn't hurt Benavidez. And when Benavidez started touching him, Demetrius Andrade's body language communicated to me that he was like, all right, this shit was a mistake. There's no way in the world I should have gotten to this fight with this guy, David Benavidez. And I do think if David Benavidez would have fought Canelo, at this point in time, you got to stop and say Canelo was probably smart by choosing not to fight David Benavidez. Because David Benavidez was much bigger, he's way more powerful, and you just look at what Terence Crawford did to Canelo, it kind of makes you wonder what the hell David Benavidez would have done to him. Now, don't get me wrong. Benavidez is Benavidez, Crawford is Crawford. But I do think if Benavidez would have fought Canelo, I think he would have destroyed him. Now, that being said, Benavidez bubbles up to 175. He fought Gvozdyk, and he looked like he struggled in that fight. Matter of fact, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. If there were 2 additional rounds remaining with Benavidez against Gvozdyk would have stopped him. Benavidez looked out of shape. He looked tired. He looked discouraged because he couldn't hurt him. He was hoping that he would get in there and knock out Gvozdyk, and he was hoping Gvozdyk would be the same guy who he sparred years ago and whipped his ass. But obviously, Gvozdyk got better, and Benavidez moving up to 175. He didn't anticipate the resilience and the ability to absorb shots by Gvozdyk. Now, he got through that fight at the post-fight conference like he got a little emotional, crying. So I don't know what all was going on with David Benavidez leading up to the fight, but obviously something was going on with him for him to get emotional. So then he comes down and he fights David Morrell. That is a fight where a lot of people were picking David Morrell to win that fight, but there were many who were still supporting Benavidez. You just look at the two. David Morrell just looked far more physically intimidating. Cuban fighter, slick, can punch, can box. But even I was like, I don't know, man. I wonder if David Morrell's going to have the stamina to hang with Benavidez. You know, Benavidez, man, every single round he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. What's up, Jab Queen? So I wasn't sure how that fight would go. But round after round, you saw David Benavidez was just getting the best of David Morrell. However, you saw, I don't know which round it was, like, I don't know, 7 or 8, but Benavidez was on the ropes and fighting off the ropes and having success. No, he had Morrell on the ropes, and Benavidez was all gas, no brakes, having success, and Morrell timed him and hit him with a big left hook, and Benavidez' legs buckled. He almost dropped him, but Benavidez didn't do nothing but take a deep breath, regroup, and keep fighting. So what that showed me is that David Benavidez at 175 pounds, that he could be hurt. Now, the thing about it is David Morrell was also coming up from 168. So is David Morrell a true 175-pounder? I don't know. I would say no, because he was coming up from 168. But that guy who wasn't a true 175-pounder buckled David Benavidez. David Benavidez is now fighting a true 175-pound fighter. Anthony Yarde is no joke. If Yarde lands on Benavidez, if Morrell could buckle those knees, Anthony Yarde is going to tranquilize him. So you could say, hey, yo, hold your horse and stop taking it to the stupid. Look, McNicholas, I know y'all like David Benavidez. You don't want to hear nobody come out here and speak the truth to the young black youth. Nah, I'm talking the truth to y'all boxing fans. I'm not biased. I don't care who wins. But I'm telling you right now, Anthony Yarde can crack. And you just got to look. There's something special about him. The man started boxing late. I don't know, was he like his early 20s or something? He's another one of those cases, man, with God-gifted athletic ability. Who the hell turns to boxing in their 20s and goes on to have a run like he's had? He's fought some of the best. Come up short. But in this fight here, I just have a feeling. I'm watching David Benavidez. I'm listening to him. You know what I'm saying? There's something about David Benavidez. It just seems like something's missing in him. He just sounds empty. I don't know if it's a relation with his dad. I don't know what it is. But whenever I hear him, he just always sounds like on the edge. Hood speaking facts, yeah. He always sounds like he's on the edge. And I'm like, damn, what's the problem? Is it that he still feels that he's that young kid, the little fat kid, and that nobody was taking serious and expecting him to do what he's done? And then he started showing promise and potential at 15. I think he still, when he looks at himself in the mirror, I think he still sees himself as that kid that people doubted. And as a result, when he talks, it's just a chip on his shoulder because he's like, nah, I don't want anyone to ever say they were right about me, the fat kid. And I think that's why he talks like that, so I don't want to take it wrong. But that being said, if power is going to decide this fight, it will be in how Benavidez uses his physical advantages to convert a volume assault into hurt. That's what it's going to boil down to. Because I think David is maybe a little bit taller, but the bottom line, Yarde is much bigger. But when I say physical advantage, you're talking about speed, ability to combination punch, and stamina, as well as physicality. I don't know who's stronger, but I'm just looking at him. I think Yarde's much stronger. But Benavidez wants to make Yarde pay for looking for the big right hand. The key is a sharp, active jab that holds Yarde's head in place. Aggressive footwork to cut angles so that Yarde cannot hide behind one shot. And body-to-head sequences that sap Yarde's legs and access to timing. If Benavidez can do that, he's going to be on to something. What Benavidez must do aside from firing heavy shots is control distance with the jab. Actively change levels to prevent Yarde from coiling up for a single telegraph bomb and use feints and lateral movement to create multiple punching windows rather than letting Yarde stand square and load and strike like a rattlesnake. I don't want to be bitten by a rattlesnake. Conversely, Yarde's route to victory is textbook, man. Timing, tick-tock, tick-tock. What's the time? It's time to get ill. Time Benavidez coming in. Catch him on the chin with compact, explosive counters and make every clinch an opportunity to reset and sting like a bee. That requires better than expected patience from Yarde, who must avoid lunging in blindly and instead punch smart. You got to be a smart puncher if you're going to get in there with Benavidez and hope to have any success. Furthermore, he's got to use the jab to set up the right hand. Use those feints, try to get Benavidez to react, to flush Benavidez's jab, and throw angles so the one big shot arrives from a new corridor. Got to make adjustments, got to use angles, got to use pivots. He's got to try to out-IQ, outsmart, and stay a step ahead of Benavidez, which is not easy to do. You got to understand, we've been talking a lot about perfect fighters, And I know some people out there say, screw you, hit champion, there's no perfect fighter, you tail wagger. Hey, yo, McNicholas, easy. If a fighter's undefeated, they've been perfect. So to me, they're the perfect damn fighter. But I just think if Yarde turns this into a war of power exchanges, someone's O's got to go, and Yarde's is already gone. So that means it's going to be Benavidez. His O is going to be out of here. If Yarde connects clean early, I am telling you, the fight ends quickly. And like they say, they don't get paid for overtime. Now, if Benavidez turns that same war into a 12-round attrition plan, wearing Yarde down, then the power narrative favors sustained force over single-shot explosiveness. The most likely scenario for a power finish, either way, is mid-rounds 3 through 8, when both men's gas tank gets tested and the body starts to tell. And I'm going to keep an eye on whether Benavidez's volume and sustained power begin to reduce Yarde's snap and step timing. That's the mechanistic way volume becomes stopping power. But we just got to sit back and wait and see how that plays out. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Corn Sabor? You kill it with the 4-girl and throne. Yeah, I appreciate it. Love the picture. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Glad you guys are enjoying it. I like to have, what you're getting is my personality in these crazy-ass thumbnails, man. I like to make jokes. But make no joke about it. David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde, I'm telling you, this shit is like a 50-50 fight, man. I'm sided. I think Benavidez gets him, but I'm not betting. Anthony Yarde can fight. Anthony Yarde can scrap. And people just got to understand, man, Benavidez he doesn't look that comfortable at 175. And I think he's going to get a wake-up call. If he can come in and do the business against Yarde, then I got to give Benavidez a lot of respect. And when I mean do the business, not get a victory, I think he's going to win. But if he can come out there and just steamroll Anthony Yarde, I got to put some respect on his name. Superman says, you talking good. People sleeping on Yarde. No, I appreciate it, man, Superman. Yeah, I'm just telling y'all, Yarde, Benavidez, this is no weight bullying thing going on here. Forget about what Benavidez did at 168. Y'all better forget it. And I do think, finish my thought, right? When Benavidez, in his first fight at 175 with Gvozdyk, I do think Benavidez is realizing that, you know what? Some of these 175-pound fighters who I sparred before and had success, shit ain't the same now. I think he's realizing, holy shit, 175 is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. It's hard. And with Anthony Yarde, I think it could be a thing where maybe Benavidez feels he's going to be able to go in there and overwhelm him, and with the short, compact shots he likes to throw. But I'm going to tell you right now, if he's going to sit there and get into a battle, an exchange of power punches with Yarde, especially them first 3 rounds, I favor Yarde unless Benavidez can hit him with something he doesn't see, come up with an uppercut or shoot something over the top. But Benavidez isn't a one-hitter-quitter type guy. That's not Benavidez. That's when we talk about the war of attrition, sustained power over the fight, 12 rounds. What happens around 8 or 9? If Benavidez is still there, you'd have to favor Benavidez. But them first 4 or 5 rounds, where Yarde still got that goddamn yard man power. You know that man's, he born in the UK, but his family from the Caribbean too. Them Jamaicans and shit, we Trinidadians here. But I understand that man eating that curry goat. That man eating that goddamn rice and peas and all that shit. All them plantain, all the same shit I grew up. That's how come you got a hood champion at 50 can run the hills, leap over planes and leap over buildings in a single bound. I'm goddamn Superman. And so is Yarde. And we're going to see if David Benavidez is going to be his kryptonite. But I'm just telling you, I think Anthony Yarde can handle that kryptonite the first 4 or 5 rounds. After that, he may develop low energy. The next thing you know, man, Anthony Yarde going to be a hood champion. May have to jump in there and save him and shit, because I just don't see Benavidez getting tired. But I wonder who's the strength and conditioning coach. Tim Taylor, what's up? David Benavidez need to break the PBC curse. Yeah, hell yeah. Consabor, Yarde isn't a walk in the park. If Benavidez makes it look easy, we'll make a statement. No doubt. Tim Taylor says, David Benavidez don't have the patience to wait for the championship rounds to not engage in a firefight. That's a good damn point. And I'm glad you guys are adding to the conversation. If Benavidez foolishly tries to prove a point, and something I was going to mention, I'm going to get to that right now. If he foolishly tries to prove a point, I think it's going to end bad. Yarde explodes with his legs. That's why I talked about him coiling up and striking like a rattlesnake, and I don't like rattlesnakes. He will strike with venom, and he will kill Benavidez, man. And that would be so unfortunate, man, because David Benavidez, I'll put it to you this way. This is the season of taking scalps. You know what I'm saying? That's what these boxers are doing. This is Lone Ranger and Tonto shit right here. This is the Wild Wild West. They looking to scalp people right now. Crawford got Canelo's scalp. That should have been Benavidez getting that Canelo scalp. Now you got Benavidez out here. Bivol or Bertabiev should be fighting him, but you know, they're trying to sort out a third fight. But really, that Benavidez scalp should belong to one of those guys. Yarde may get that scalp. Yarde already been scalped a couple times, you know what I'm saying? But this is the season of people getting scalped. So, you know, it is what it is. It says, in 169 pounds, he had to stay in shape. At 168, he had to stay in shape all the time. At 175, he can blow up to 200 and cut weight and camp. Yeah, but David Benavidez, when he blows up to, you know, when he's in between fights, he doesn't look good, man. Like, no kidding. He swells up like a French bread. The man be looking like a torta. He swell up like a goddamn a beef and cheese burrito. And I ain't trying to be funny. I'm just telling you, he's fat. He doesn't, you know, put on size and look big and strong. No, he's big and fat. That's not good. He looks soft. So when he cuts that weight off, he's taking off fat. It's not what he's doing in between fights. It just doesn't seem smart. It doesn't seem conducive. to me, it doesn't seem conducive to being able to maintain the athleticism that he needs in optimal shape. It's not conducive to being an athlete. That's my opinion. Some would disagree because they say, well, when he gets in the ring, he looks soft and he whips ass. But my thing is David Benavidez for this fight, I don't know this. It's just a question. Is he working with Angel Mimo Heredia again? He worked with Mimo Heredia for Caleb Plant. You know, he worked with Mimo Heredia for Demetrius Andrade. So at 175, I don't think he's been working with Mimo Heredia. But I don't know what he's doing for Yarde, but I would not be surprised to find out that he was working with somebody, a nutritionist, a dietitian, a strength and conditioning coach, one of those controversial figures. And rest in peace to Victor Conte. He's deceased, so I'm not going to say nothing about him. But, you know, someone who's been a bit controversial but gets results. And for David Benavidez, I'd be shocked if he didn't do that going into a fight with Yarde, because I'll be honest with you, I think he needs all the help he can get. So it is what it is. It's really about Benavidez' volume, trying to sustain his power, to try to reduce Yarde's snap and his step timing. If he can do that, Benavidez is going to have some big-time success. But I just think that's easier said than done. I'm going to keep telling you, Yarde's no joke, man. But if Benavidez can just get in there and steamroll him, you got to put some respect on Benavidez' name. You know what I'm saying? He says, yeah, this one, them sneaky Saudi matchups where many are deceived of the legitimacy of. Yep, I agree with you. He says, Benavidez was patient versus Yarde. Yeah, Benavidez was. Benavidez is, you know, that's a good point because Benavidez was patient. Yarde had success, but Benavidez just kept coming and punching and breaking him down. You know, this could be a repeat of Benavidez against Yarde, where Yarde has some success, but then Benavidez just keeps, you know, coming forward, volume of punching just through attrition. He just breaks down Yarde, and then it becomes, you know, a battle of the gas tanks. And, you know, David Benavidez proves I had a better gas tank. And next thing you know, he bings Yarde, and Yarde's up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good damn point. Benavidez is a type of Russian that is hard as steel, and Yarde moves his legs. Yarde got power. I agree. Yarde about to put the fish and chips, bings on Benny and his carne asada, or vice versa. Yeah, no doubt. I agree with that. That's hilarious. Saudi Arabia going to be above 80 degrees the entire fight week, and I just hope nobody gets sick trying to make weight. Oh, yeah, we don't need that at all. We don't need that at all, man. Now, that being said, the fight that I'm really looking forward to, and the fight that I think everybody's looking forward to, is Brian Norman Jr. against Devin Haney. Ba-ba-ba-bam! Yo, I don't care what you say, Devin Haney Jr. will get tranquilized. He's out of here. And I don't care if you unsubscribe from the channel. I don't care. If Brian Norman Jr. loses, how about this? I'll get butt naked, jump into a river, swim halfway, man-eating crocodiles in there, wrestle a crocodile, and then if I beat that one, I'll take on another one and wrestle him, and then I'll try to make it out to the other side. What I'm telling you is, I don't think Devin Haney is going to win, and I hope he doesn't, because I don't want to jump in the river of man-eating crocodile, especially butt naked. Get out of here with this bullshit. Devin Haney Jr. is going to get in there and overpower Brian Norman Jr. Who, what, when, where, why, how? Are you coming up with that bullshit? Devin Haney don't have nothing for no damn Brian Norman Jr. And see, this is why, man, y'all gonna make me hit up Claude and Ray from the movie Life, and we're gonna start round 2 of the killing spree. I understand people think Devin Haney is gonna dominate. Oh, you saw what he did to Lomachenko. Hey, yo, Mick Nicholas, easy. Hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. What did he do against Lomachenko? That's what I want to know. Did he win the fight? Yeah, he won the fight. But Lomachenko, what's Lomachenko, man? Like, 42 inches tall? We know Lomachenko has speed, power. Lomachenko is the perfect fighter, no kidding. But, the man bubbled up multiple weight classes already, and Devin Haney tried to weight bully him, and Lomachenko was still putting the bing-bings on him. Devin went back to the corner, was asking his dad. He was like, what do I do? What do I do? The man was like the cartoon and shit. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? He ain't know what was happening. That Ukrainian was in there, man, matrixing his ass all over the ring. But I do think Devin won the fight. But don't come out here acting like Devin destroyed Lomachenko. No, he didn't. He was much bigger than him. He had the reach, and Devin Haney used his natural physical advantages to do the business. All right? And then Devin Haney goes after that Regis Prograis stuff. I don't even want to talk about this no more, but I got to. His dad was out there in the audience when Regis Prograis fought Zorrilla, scouting. They had already sized Regis Prograis up. He's shorter. He has short arms. Regis Prograis' arm reaches like, 65 inches or some shit? 66 inches? Devin is like Street Fighter dolls him in that motherfucker. Yoga fire. Them long-ass arms of Devin Haney. He went in there and pulled a Dalsum on Regis Prograis. You know what I'm saying? They knew that Regis Prograis wasn't going to be able to handle Devin. Even I said, Devin's going to beat him. When I watched Regis Prograis fight Zorrilla was bing-binging Regis. I said, Devin going to beat him. Ain't no way in the world Regis beats him. Devin gets in the ring, has an easy fight, and then he's there talking about his power at 140, my power. Then he says, all right, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to fight. Yeah, and Regis doesn't have any feet. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. His footwork is horrible. And you're right, the Ramirez fight was horrible, but I'm going to get to that. And he says, if Haney got them tic-tacs, sloppy, untied shoes, yeah. The moon boots and shit. He said that he had on versus Ramirez, he probably going to sprain his ankle. Yeah. He had them same weird shoes on, something similar when he fought Ryan. He says, Brian Norman Jr. has never fought a slick fighter. Brian Norman has been fighting punching bags and flat-footed fighters. Hey, yo, Tim Taylor, easy. Hey, yo, hold your horses, Tim. And let's not take it to the stupid. We're going to find out this weekend, though, aren't we? Jordan says, I agree, Tim, that top rate, that's the matchmaking. And we're going to find out this weekend, man. And he says, under Zorrilla's dropped him off of no footwork. Yeah, Zorrilla's got him, no doubt. It says, what happened in Devin's last 30 rounds? I'll wait, anyone. So, with Devin, man, he ends up doing the business against Regis. He's talking about his power. Then he goes to fight Ryan. Now, I'm one of the few that picked Ryan Garcia to beat Devin, to knock out Devin. And a lot of people were saying all kind of stuff. You don't know boxing, you don't know this, you don't know that. How dare you go against Devin? That's like easy, man. Devin's not going to have a height advantage. He's not going to have a reach advantage. He's not going to have a speed advantage. He's not going to have a power advantage. These guys have fought in the amateurs as kids, which doesn't matter, but it was a competitive fight. They both have gotten better. So why in the world would I think Devin's going to beat Ryan Garcia? And when they got in the ring, you saw what happened. Ryan binged him. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep saying this. That shit is horrible that Ryan cheated. It's horrible that Ryan had to cheat that man. I think that's disgusting that Ryan Garcia did that to Devin Haney. And I'm going to tell you, I understand Devin has skills. I understand Devin can box. I understand. I watch boxing like you all. So for the McNicholas who's like, what happened? I'll wait. Look, check this out. How about you check this out? We all watch boxing. Don't come posting stuff like, I'll wait. Why don't you go ahead and say what you got to say, man? We don't play that stump the dummy shit here because we could easily pick your ass apart. Say what you got to say. This ain't a young boy channel. Take that shit to the young boy channels. But I'm going to tell you this. For everyone thinking that Devin Haney is going to somehow come here and do to Brian Norman Jr. what he did to guys who are much smaller than him, how you figure that? He fought Ryan, went inactive, fought Ramirez, didn't want anything to do with Ramirez's power, trying to get hit. They can say the game plan was to just box and move and play it safe and get to the Ryan Garcia fight. Shane Mosley even came out and said that he didn't agree with what they were doing. So Shane Mosley trying to be very careful with his words. But Devin Haney, I believe that Devin Haney isn't comfortable getting hit. I truly believe that. And I feel when he gets to Brian Norman Jr., if Devin Haney is having a little bit of success, at some point he's going to get hit. Y'all acting like Devin Haney is You're acting like Devin Haney is going to come in here now and be Floyd Mayweather. Get out of here. Devin Haney is not Floyd Mayweather. So let me ask you a question, because I still got to get to my outline of Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. I haven't even started with my outline yet. I'm just here talking. I'm freestyling right now. What has Devin done from the Ryan Garcia fight up to this point that will convince you that he's going to beat Brian Norman Jr.? That's all I'm saying. Don't just tell me, oh, he's got footwork. Oh, he has fast hands. No. Let's take a look at the Ryan fight, the Ramirez fight, and going into Brian Norman Jr. What has Devin done that's convincing you that he's going to beat Brian Norman Jr.? Or is it that you're just looking at Brian Norman Jr. and you're feeling that he had punching bags in front of him, tomato cans in front of him, is top-ranked matchmaking, and as a result, Brian Norman Jr. isn't that good of a fighter? Devin is special. He is elite. And Devin's going to show us all how special he is because of how he looked against Ryan Garcia and Ramirez. So we should be convinced because of how he looked against Ryan Garcia and Ramirez that he's going to get in there and make Brian Norman Jr., a guy who destroyed Santillan, handled the guy Cuevas, damn near killed Sasaki. Matter of fact, he damn near killed his last 3 opponents. Y'all acting like Brian Norman Jr. can't counterpunch, can't time, can't fight off the ropes. Like Brian Norman Jr. isn't able to cut the ring off. He doesn't have underestimated footwork. Y'all acting like Brian Norman Jr. isn't this era's Triple G. He's this era's Triple G. I don't want to hear that. Devin Haney won't win. Simple, man. He says his direct deposits cleared his last 30 rounds, but I'm following you, though. Hasn't been the best boxing. I don't mention anything from the Ryan Garcia fight because he used pads and missed weight. Devin Haney body shot sent Lomachenko and Jose Ramirez Jr. immediately to the hospital after the fight. He's one of the best body punchers. Check this out. Loma whipped that boy, yeah. Listen, the Ryan Garcia fight, that's why you heard me say it's unfortunate that Ryan was on those pads. But I think that took something out of Devin Haney. I'm sure some of y'all have fought. I've boxed before like a lot of y'all. I'm sure some of y'all have sparred and been in the ring. Yo, when you get hit and you get hurt over and over and over, I never went through what Devin went through, but I know what it's like to get hit hard. You know, that shit make you think. You know, like, I want to get hit with that again. I know what it's like to hit people and hurt people, you know what I'm saying, in sparring. And when you got to spar them again, they start moving around a lot because they feel that power. I've been on the opposite end of that shit too. But for Devin, let me just put it to you this way, right? What I'm telling you is a fact. At least I feel I'm entitled to my own facts here. Devin Haney was planning. He's on a 3-fight deal, $36 million. I know what he was planning on doing. Fight Ramirez. That was his first fight with Turki Al-Sheikh. Get through that, snatch up his little purse. He had 2 fights remaining. Ryan Garcia, the rematch, and then maybe a trilogy. So in his mind, he had 3 fights with Turki Al-Sheikh, 1 with Ramirez, an easy fight, and 2 fights with Ryan Garcia. But it didn't work out for him because Ryan Garcia went and lost to Rolly. Now Devin was up shit creek. Because now he's like, uh-oh, I got to fight somebody. And they looked all over trying to find an opponent. Turki Al-Sheikh wants drama. He doesn't want dominance. I know Devin was talking about fighting Boots, and Devin's brave. I'll give him that, but ended up getting stuck with Brian Norman Jr. And I do believe that part of them are kind of underestimating him a little bit, and they're hoping that he doesn't have the footwork. They're hoping he doesn't have the timing. They're hoping that he doesn't have the speed. They're hoping he doesn't have the chin. They're hoping that all the intangibles that Devin possesses, that Brian Norman Jr. doesn't have that, even though Brian Norman Jr. has showed that he has that in his fights. And the thing is, how much better can Devin get? How much better can Brian Norman Jr. get? I think Devin's already peaked and is on the decline. That's my opinion. And a lot of y'all keep forgetting. Y'all keep acting like Devin Haney's younger than Brian Norman Jr. I heard somebody saying Devin's got the youthfulness on his side. What youthfulness? He's way older than Brian Norman Jr. Devin's been fighting in wars for a long time, wars in training camps. What are you talking about? He's coming up in weight. Get out of here. Now, I'll say this. If he was able to access some of the resources that Crawford had to put on that functional mask and train and diet and do all the things that Crawford did getting ready for Canelo, well then, Devin Haney may have the speed of a 135-pounder and the explosiveness of a 147-pounder. And then the fight gets really interesting. And then he may have an expanded gas tank, which is going to push the limits of Brian Norman Jr. And then Devin Haney could go on and outbox him. I just think at some point in time, Devin's going to get hit and he's going to go out. And Brian Norman Jr., his dad, going to be dancing that ATL Dirty Bird out there in Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? So I can finally get to my outline because I've been here running my mouth. It says, nothing Devin done in the last 3 fights say he's going to beat Brian. Hell no, he ain't beating Brian. I don't think so, man. I don't think he beats him at all. It says, I'm basing my reasoning off the level of competition. I favor getting your ass spanked against a top-level fighter over someone being binging lower-level opponents. The only fighter I never followed. I hear that. This code was with Wilder. Outside of that, this is how I rock and think most of the time. Yeah, I get it. Nothing Devin done. Yeah. So this is the story, man. Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney is a stylistic contrast where power is less about one heavy bomb and more about applying pressure that forces a technically gifted boxer to trade uncomfortably. That's what's going to happen. You got to remember they're in Saudi Arabia. Turki Al-Sheikh, he don't want no Tom and Jerry. So Devin is trying to pop shot and land a shot here and land a shot there. That ain't going to work. Because the judges are going to be watching that shit too. They don't want that. And I do believe Turki Al-Sheikh has told those judges, this is kind of how I want y'all looking at. I'm not saying he's trying to fix fights. I just think he wants the right guy to win. And for Turki Al-Sheikh in his Riyadh season cards, he wants drama. He wants bones getting broken. He wants noses getting blasted off of their faces. He doesn't want dominance where someone could come in and run the whole fight. And he doesn't want a school Canelo. He doesn't want that shit. He doesn't want a Devin Haney Ramirez. He doesn't want those fights. And I'm telling you right now, at 147, Brian Norman Jr. is a modern welterweight built to bully. Heavier hands for the division. Blunt, straight power, and a willingness to walk forward and punish the inside. If Devin Haney can't get his respect, Brian Norman Jr. is going to Triple G his ass. Brian Norman Jr. from ATL, but he gonna pull a little Kazakh thunder. Big drama show. That's what Brian Norman Jr. should start saying. They should call him Brian Triple G Norman Jr. Big drama show. Because that's what you get when he gets in the ring. Now, Devin Haney is one of the I got to be honest, Devin Haney is one of boxing's cleanest technicians at present with a history of high accuracy and middle to high landed punches per round in normative CompuBox aggregates. Okay? Devin's average total landed per round, 6 among the higher figures, in the database, because I was out there doing some research. I'm like, damn. But Haney's recent performances, like you're talking about in the comments section, have been scrutinized for low overall output in certain fights, despite fairly strong accuracy when he chooses to engage, but fans are questioning his performance and the opponents and where he's at mentally, especially after having the bing-bings put on him by Ryan the Cacahol Garcia. Now, pre-fight analytics show Haney historically landing in the mid-30s punches per round on average and aggregate CompuBox metrics, but also revealed he can pivot into ultra-low volume, high-efficiency performances when he opts for tactical caution. And I am 100% sure he's going to be in there tactically cautious with Norman Jr. Because when that bell rings, he's going to know the shit talking's over. I don't have my bodyguard here to pull nobody's shirt up over their head. He's going to be in there dealing with reality. And he's going to have that ATL, Brian, Triple G Norman Jr., the goddamn boogeyman, looking at him. Y'all got to understand. We know what Devin can do as far as landing punches per round, but against who? We understand the distribution of jabs. Against who? How's he going to pull all that off against power punches of Brian Norman Jr.? That's my question. Somebody answer it. Answer it. Please. Now, Norman's metrics suggest a smaller average landed per round, but a greater proportion of his offense is power-oriented. He's comfortable forcing inside-to-inside exchanges where his punches do the psychological and physical damage. And that's going to give Devin Haney the Ryan Garcia flashback, and it's going to be all bad for him because his dad can't help him. Bill can't help him. Bill going to turn to Teofimo Sr. When Teofimo Lopez fought Cambosos, he's going to be like, go kick his fucking ass, man. Just kick his ass. What are you doing, man? You're going to kick his ass. Because he's not going to know what to tell him. Bill going to throw the towel in. Beijing Bill's going to throw the towel in. I'm telling you, he's going to throw the towel in, man. It's over. What's up? Check this out. It's a little hood champion, one of the best boxing channels. Thank you. I appreciate it. KG, what's up, man? He wants Drago versus Apollo Creed. Not necessarily death, but near death. Yeah, no doubt. He ain't playing. Turkey ain't playing. I'm wondering, can David Benavidez hit his vicious buttons with the zero Mexican fans in the crowd? I don't know. Says this fight will look like Shakir Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. Tim, I think you're right, man. I think Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. are going to look like that. You're going to have the guy over there with the power looking to land and the other guy running. But I do think the Turkey, they're not going to let Devin get away with that. They're not going to let him get away with that. I just can't see it. No way in the world Turkey Al-Ashiki going to sit there and allow anyone to come and pull. And remember, it's not just what William School did. It's what Devin did. That weekend was a horrible weekend. Devin and William School fouled up the place. Teofimo Lopez and Barbosa was, it wasn't all that. Rolly kind of saved the night a little bit. But it was Devin Haney and it was William School that had everybody upset and throwing tomato cans at the television. And matter of fact, I'll be honest, that weekend I did jump in the river butt naked and swim across with the man eating crocodiles. I made it though. I made it safely, but I did. I was ready to bring it all to an end. I was like, I ain't never watching boxing again. That's how horrible it was. But if power, which is what I think is going to be the difference in every one of these fights, if power is the deciding factor in Norman Jr. versus Haney, let's be real. It will be Norman's ability to make Haney unwillingly try to trust his footwork and range. Devin Haney at some point in time, I think he is going to try to stand there and hold his ground and try to exchange with Brian Norman Jr. But I'm telling you, Brian Norman Jr. is going to knock him out. I just can't see Devin Haney. I just can't see it. I'm sorry, man. His hands do look a little bit faster. I ain't gonna lie. I saw him hitting he was hitting the heavy bag. His hands look fast. But I mean, I could go out here and give you a 3-second clip of me letting my hands go at 50 years old and have y'all like, holy shit, her champion can beat Crawford. A little 3-second clip don't mean shit. Make anybody look like a superstar. But we gonna get the real deal this weekend. Brian Norman must convert his pressure into consistent close-range power that pushes and punishes Haney's legs and midsection, thereby taking away Haney's lateral movement. From Haney's side, the antidote to Norman's plan is not to try to outbomb him. Haney does not win by brute force. He never has. He's not going to. When he tried, he almost got killed. So when he fought Ryan Garcia. But rather to use the jab and, of course, the ring geometry to neutralize Norman's entry lines and to make Norman pay each time he lunges in if Norman has developed that habit of lunging in. I have seen Norman where he'll come in, but Norman's smart with what he's doing. He's not just going to come in there and recklessly lunge in. But I do think Devin is going to try to go to that body with that syringe-like jab, suck some of the wind out of Brian Norman Jr. But Devin Haney and his dad have got to realize that that syringe-like jab that Devin likes to throw, he's not going to be in there with somebody who doesn't have the reach to counter him. He's going to be in there with somebody who can touch him. So Devin has just got to try to disrupt the rhythm of Brian Norman Jr. And use feints, change the pace, a stinging jab. He's got to do all these things to try to stop Norman from committing his whole frame to power shots. He must maintain balance and avoid overreaching because Norman's timing on counter hooks and uppercuts at close quarters is the real danger. If Norman lands an uppercut on Devin Haney, he's going to kill him. And that's just being real. Look, man, the contest becomes a clear test of whether Norman's power-based aggression can force Haney into trading pencil-in-hand moments or whether Haney's ring IQ and jab can keep him scoring at range and stealing rounds. If Norman lands early, works the body, backs Haney into a physical fight, expect power to be decisive and for Haney to get knocked out. But if Haney is allowed to operate as the ring general, changing levels, snapping the jab, scoring with counters, using his footwork, lateral movement, clinching, punching on the break, doing all the things that Haney has been able to do and get away with against smaller opponents, then the fight becomes a technical outpointing exercise and power alone won't win it for Norman. The story is, the mid-career narrative for both men suggests this will be a chess match with sudden, dangerous bursts. Haney has got to control the tempo. He's got to control the tempo. He's got to stay a step ahead of Brian Norman Jr., and Norman must close it. He's got to close it. He got to be like, nah, I can't let you run around here and coochie-coo tickle and chicken peck me for 12 rounds. He's going to have to close it. Hopefully he worked on cutting the ring off. The fewest steps needed to cut that ring off and get to Devin is what Brian Norman Jr. is going to need to do. You know what I'm saying? No doubt. It says, one thing for certain is Devin going to be in excellent shape. Yeah, I agree with that. I can see Devin landing a flash knockdown after Brian Norman misses a wide shot and gets off balance. Well, I mean, anything's possible, you know. I'll never tell you you're wrong. You're right. Anything can happen. If Brian Norman Jr. gets overly aggressive and starts swinging wildly and just like Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn this week and just throwing wild shots and missing, yeah, that's not going to be good. But that's why I can't wait to see how this fight plays out because everybody has an idea. Everybody, you know, has an opinion. And it just makes for a really fun conversation. You know what I'm saying? Now, the one fight I don't think it's being talked about enough, but Abdullah Mason against Sam Noakes. Let me tell you something. That's a very, very good fight. That fight right there, anyone can win. I think Mason gets too much skill, too tall, the long arms, young. But you got to remember these records. I think Mason is 19 wins, 17 knockouts. Sam Noakes is 17 wins, 15 knockouts. You know what I mean? I mean, someone's going to get tranquilized inside that ring. Someone is going to get knocked out. But this is the kind of domestic level big man fight where raw power defines both the night and the marketability. Abdullah Mason has proven in recent outings that his power translates into stoppages in a variety of middleweight contexts. You know, Mason can really, really scrap. And, you know, although Mason is fighting down there at the lower weight classes, I think Mason has a frame to go and fight at middleweight. You know what I'm saying? I really do think he could. But at the end of the day, when you look at him in his last outings, he has a high power punch connect percentage, man. You know what I'm saying? And he can get stoppages against just about any style, at least with the opponents that they put in front of him. We all know it's all about matchmaking. But Abdullah Mason has shown that he's ready for this opportunity against Sam Noakes. Now, Sam Noakes is durable, and he's gritty, and he's got power. for the division himself. You know what I'm saying? So the pre-fight machine shows both men landing high-impact shots, but with slightly different rhythms. Mason carries forward pressure and looks to end sequences with authoritative punches, whereas Noakes takes a more opportunistic route, waiting for openings and countering aggressively when they appear. This could be all bad for Abdullah Mason. If Mason's out there and he's trying to prove a point and he's being overly aggressive, you could find him getting countered and hit with something big by Noakes and getting knocked out. And I don't want that for him. But Noakes can fight. See, the problem is some people don't know who Noakes is. Noakes can fight. And they're going to see this weekend, especially if Abdullah Mason, gets a bit reckless and Noakes is able to capitalize. But when you look at historically Abdullah Mason and his performances, if you look at CompuBox, man, and it just shows that Mason, he lands nearly half of his power shots in some of his most recent wins. And those numbers translate to fights where sustained body attack convert into headshot openings. So if he's going to the body, you better believe he's looking to set you up upstairs. And vice versa. If he's going upstairs, he got you worried about getting hit upstairs, he'll go to the body. And basically, man, just try to set traps and just get you to where you're confused. And that 10th of a second of thinking and lapse in judgment is just more than enough for Mason to let his power shots go and hurt and get his opponent out of there. But I just think you can't sleep on Noakes. Noakes is a problem. Matter of fact, when it comes to power output and accuracy, Mason's his numbers are slightly higher than Noakes, but Noakes are pretty impressive as well. But that's why many people feel that Mason is going to beat Noakes, because they're saying that everything he does based on his opponents compared to Noakes, Mason just happened to perform a little bit better. This is just looking at the matrix. But we just have to wait and see how it all plays out, man. You know what I'm saying? What should Mason do to win the fight? I mean, everybody's got an opinion when it comes to Abdullah Mason, man. But I think he should make it a fight of progression. Start with measured body work to lower Noakes' hands and mobility. Then step up head power when the opponent's posture drops. Go to the head, let some power shots on him. But I do think Mason must be careful not to get baited into pure hook wars early, mash up, crash up, power exchanges. I think that's where Mason's going to make a mistake. A couple of fights ago, he was fighting the guy with the shag on the back of his head. And Mason was getting knocked down. Got knocked down twice, clean knockdowns. He seemed to have tightened up his defense and has worked on patience and being composed in the ring. But if for some reason that he goes and decides to take it to the stupid and make the mistakes he made in that fight from a couple of fights ago, he's going to get knocked out, people. Not down. He's going to get knocked out cold. Okay? So let's see if he can mix the straights to the head and the body and use uppercuts when Noakes takes a more upright and mid-range posture, which he tends to do. Now, when it comes to Noakes, his shot to victory, in my opinion, is simple, man. Classic counter-punch knockout. Use timing. Mason is going to be there coming forward, being aggressive. Use your timing. Catch Mason as he lifts his hands after power punches and turn single opportunity into momentum. I just think if Noakes can plant Mason with a clean counter early, the night is going to change instantly. I do. I think Mason is going to become apprehensive and Noakes is going to be able to turn up the heat. If Mason turns this into a sustained assault and converts corner adjustment into round-by-round dominance, the stoppage will most likely come in the middle rounds as accumulation wears down the younger body. I mean, when we try to just really take a look at all this, man, I think analytically, this fight is a measurement of how power is applied, man. Who can sustain the body-head sequence versus who's just out here looking to throw a single counter shot, which will be coming from Noakes. But I don't know. We just got to wait and see how it all plays out, man. Well, Mason still had a success rate that he's used to having when he gets in there with a much better fighter in a step-up fight with Noakes. And there is a title on the line. But I don't know. Got to wait and see how it all plays out, man. Now, Bam Rodriguez, I'll just say this. There's no way in the world Rodriguez beats Bam. I mean, Fernando Martinez beats Bam Rodriguez. Ain't no way. He is not beating him. He's just not beating him, man. I can see, okay, he says, Noakes reminds me of William Zepeda with slightly less output. What's up, Poi Pounder? Poi, you must be from Hawaii, or you Samoan, or you out there in New Zealand or Tonga or somewhere. Poi. I lived in Hawaii for 3 years, man. So I know what poi is. That's that good shit where they mash up the taro. But yeah, he says, Noakes remind me of William Zepeda with slightly less output. Yeah, I agree with that, man. He kind of reminds me of him as well. But we're going to get a really good scrap when them guys get in the ring. Now, for Bam Rodriguez, I'm just telling you, I don't think nobody beats him. Simple. I don't even need to come here and talk about, will Bam's power prevail, or how he's going to have to Martinez is going to have to try to out-precision Bam's power. Martinez is just not going to win. All right? But, it is a champion-level technical versus power fixture inside the lighter weight divisions. You know what I'm saying? Bam Rodriguez, he is the model of modern volume plus accuracy at those lighter weights. You look at his CompuBox stats, his connect percentages, man, and his landing is just unusually high, man. Total output, efficient, accurate combinations rather than wild power swings. Bam is a problem. I don't care what no one says to me. He's already on the pound-for-pound list. He should be right up there. He just needs to do a little more work, but he's already being mentioned, and he's being mentioned for a reason. Now, when it comes to his opponent, Fernando Martinez, look, by contrast, is a younger but heavy-hitting champion who carries a knockout rate and high willingness to trade in tight spaces. So this is going to be an exciting fight as well. Matter of fact, every fight on this damn fight card is crazy, especially these four. Absolutely amazing. Like, I'm sitting back here and I don't even think I appreciate the fights that are being put on right now, I don't even think I appreciate the fights because it's just become normal. It's like somebody waking up every day and you have breakfast, you have lunch, you have dinner, and you're getting, steak and lobster and eggs for breakfast, and lunch you're getting, all kind of gourmet meals and this and that, and you're having a good life. It's normal to you, so you don't appreciate it. It's just normal. Then, things go left, and all of a sudden you're eating, Vienna sausages, potted meat, Spam, or you're eating nothing, bread and butter, crackers and sardines. Then you start to appreciate, what you had. And I think that's us with boxing, this has been normalized now because Turki Al-Sheikh, when Turki's in the house every day is Thanksgiving, he's putting together these amazing fights. So for me, I think we need to appreciate this. But I'm just going to tell you, Bam he just lands too many hard shots, man. Too many, too precise, too accurate. He's brutal. He's surgically brutal, man. And he has one-punch power. And then Martinez, man, he's just a classic Latin pressure power puncher. And he has stoppages. He likes to exchange. And that could unsettle a technical boxer like Bam Rodriguez, but Bam's already faced guys like that. So I don't think Martinez is going to have a career-altering knockout of Bam Rodriguez at all. I think Bam's route is what it's going to always be, and what he's going to do is just use clinical geometry. He's going to vary the targets and make Martinez miss until the other man's output becomes predictable, and Bam's going to do the business. So, will power prevail? I think so. I think Bam wins, man. Simple. He got immaculate timing. He can parry and counter. He's doing 2, 3, 4 things at once, where other fighters had to do two things individually, independent of each other. Bam can pair everything together, bring things together, and do 3, 4 things at once. As a result, he can control the tempo of a fight, and his jab is, to me, of uncommon quality, varies in speed and disrupts everybody's rhythm. And I think he's going to do the same thing to Martinez. He's going to disrupt his rhythm, disrupt his power, disrupt his confidence, and he's going to have Martinez curled up in the corner on the canvas holding his balls crying. Because he's going to be like, Bam is whipping my ass. Why the promoter, why'd you put me in the ring with this guy? Y'all got to understand. Y'all think I'm just making this shit up, making jokes. Bam, he has remarkable efficiency. He will force his fighters to overcommit. And Martinez, I think, is going to do that. And if Martinez rushes in and overcommits because he's searching for the KO, Bam will let me tell you something. Bam's counters and ability to pick shots will make power less decisive. Simple. And whatever Martinez or Strincy comes to the ring, Bam is going to find a way to take all that away from him. Now, conversely, Martinez, he must turn the bout into a sequence of those compact binary exchanges where his power matters most, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He can plant his feet. He can throw shots, go to the head, go to the body, try to create angles. He can do whatever he wants to try to land heavy shots on the chin of Rodriguez. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. So if you ask me, I think Bam will stay crisp and disciplined, and Bam will get the victory. Pretty damn simple, though. So it is what it is, man. Very, very interesting. But for me, the fight to watch is that damn Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney. I'm going to keep saying it, man. That is the fight. I just have to wait and see how all this plays out, because I just don't think Devin Haney is going to be able to get that victory at all, man. It's the power. Bam and Martinez, power. Devin and Brian Norman Jr., power, I think, is going to be the difference. Mason and Noakes, both of those guys can crack. So whoever lands first in that fight, then Benavidez and Yarde, I just think it's the power. They both have power, but I think Yarde deserves a lot more credit, man. I really do. I don't think he's really getting the credit he deserves. But Benavidez has, he has a higher total power attempts per fight, versus Yarde's higher knockout conversion rate. Benavidez will throw more power shots. But Yarde, again, he has a higher knockout conversion rate. With Brian Norman Jr., that inside power is ridiculous. And that's going to be against Haney's landed per round accuracy. You know what I'm saying? So it's the power of Norman and Haney's accuracy. And then Mason just has that compounding body work, and Noakes as an opportunistic fighter. And that's what it's going to, I think, boil down to, man, is just Mason. It's just overall compounding work by Mason, and Noakes being able to make him pay for being too aggressive and for his work rate. And Bam, he's just surgical. He's powerful. Bam is just a problem. There's nothing else I can say about Bam. He's a problem. Martinez, he got that heavy power, but I just don't think that's going to be enough. So it is what it is, man. That's how I got it breaking down. I got Bam winning. Mason and Noakes, I don't know. I'm like split on that, but I think Mason should get him. But I don't know. I'm telling you right now, I don't know. Norman Jr. and Devin, that's an easy one to me. That's Brian Norman Jr. should win that fight with no problem. Then Yarde and what's his name? Benavidez. I don't know, man. I don't know who wins that fight, but I gotta go with I really don't know who wins that fight. I think you gotta put some respect on Yarde's name. But anyway, we have to wait and see. He says, why is that the fight and not the Monsters versus Yarde? Because Devin Haney and what he has to lose, what he's up against, and the fact he's moving up to 147, he is looking strong, he's looking sharp, he's looking crisp. And there's just a big question mark over Devin Haney. People are wondering what Devin Haney has left. And Brian Norman Jr., pretty easy. The last three opponents, he's damn near killed him. So it's a matter of seeing if Devin Haney's chin and mind can stand up against the confidence, the momentum, and the power of Brian Norman Jr. Plus, this is Devin Haney's opportunity to become a champion in the third weight division, and to see if he's been able to move beyond the trauma that the Ryan Garcia fight caused. So I do think that that's the must-see fight, the fight that has the most question marks surrounding it. People also want to see if Brian Norman Jr. is the real thing. Some people still aren't convinced that Brian Norman Jr. is the real thing. They're still looking at Brian Norman Jr. and saying, okay, this is just, matchmaking by Top Rank. Who has he knocked out? And let me tell you something. When people call Santillán a nobody, that just tells me they don't know a damn thing about boxing. Santillán is a problem. It was in Santillán's hometown. They were setting him up to become a champion. Brian Norman Jr. was supposed to lose that fight. And when I went back and watched that fight, I watched the Cuevas fight, I watched the Sasaki fight. And I said, damn, is Brian Norman Jr. that special of a fighter, or is it the opponents? So I went back and rewatched them. And I saw that when he hit them, they didn't like it. You could watch the very first round when he fought Santillán. When he hit him, watch Santillán's body language. Watch his reaction. He didn't like it. When he fought the Cuevas guy, as soon as he started touching him, Cuevas didn't like it. If that's his name, yeah, it's Cuevas, not Cardenas, Cuevas. He didn't like it. Then he got knocked out by a jab. When he fought Sasaki, Sasaki came out, he in Japan. Sasaki is out there, man, going all out, trying to catch the glow in the ring. The first round, as soon as Norman Jr. hit him, Sasaki's game plan changed. He said, shit, I made a mistake getting in here. And I think it's going to be the same thing when Devin Haney gets hit. Matter of fact, I think Devin Haney's reaction is going to be even more dramatic. Because Devin Haney is coming off of getting tranquilized, embarrassed, humiliated. He's been through depression, self-doubt. What I'm telling you are facts. I'm not making this up. The man went through all that bullshit. And it showed up on front stage, man, front and center, up there in Times Square when he fought Ramirez. He didn't want to get hit. So in sparring, I don't know what they've done in sparring. I don't know if he's, I'm sure it's controlled. But I don't know if he pushed it to the limit to where he can get in the ring and be comfortable with, with if he gets clipped to just basically bite down on his gum shield and stay focused and not to relive that depression, not to relive that anxiety, not to relive that self-doubt. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, I don't think Devin wins, period. But if he can do it, I give him all the respect in the world. I just think Haney's in serious danger. And Brian Norman Jr. is going to ruin everything for Devin. But make sure y'all hear what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that Devin can't fight. I'm telling you I think Devin is a great fighter. I just think it's unfortunate that he went through what he went through. It's sad to see that he had to go through that bullcrap. He says, can't say Haney versus Norman Jr. is the fight, and y'all saying Norman Jr. will win easy. Yeah, we can. We can say whatever we want. Just like you can say what you want. Tell us what we can't say. That's crazy, man. We just don't agree. I'm telling you I'm saying it. I've been saying it, and I ain't changing my tune. And if Brian Norman Jr. loses, he just loses. Nobody had no goddamn crystal ball. Nobody knows who's going to win. You can just, assume, speculate, dialogue, and then make a prediction. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I've been doing. There's nothing that Devin Haney has done to convince me that he's going to get in here and beat Brian Norman Jr. Nothing, period. But if he does, good job to Devin Haney. Good job, But I just don't think he does at all. Anyway, I've been on here for an hour and 13 minutes. I got through my outline. I'm about to go run for an hour and then maybe come back and do some videos. And I got to go do a little grocery shopping and everything else, man. But make sure y'all hit that like button, leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings, subscribe to the channel, and just know that I appreciate the support. And I wish everybody has a really good day. And I will be going live again at 9 o'clock like normal, all right? It says Haney's going to do his road runner, and we can see if Norman Jr. can cut the ring off or not. We're going to find out, man. All right, I got to go, okay? Thank you for joining. I'll be on tomorrow, normal time, and I'll be on tonight at 9 o'clock. Y'all keep cool, all right? I'm in the breeze.